So enough from me. Let's welcome Laura, and I will be sharing the slides from my end. So if there are any technical glitches, it's my fault and not Laura's. Over to you.
Well, hello everyone. Thanks for having me today. And may I say congratulations, Rich and Dom, for getting the B Corp certification, because as you know, having been through it, it takes a long time, and it's really gratifying. And when you get the tiny little wooden plaque, it's not very big, but you feel this enormous sense of pride for achieving so well across the 5 areas. There it is, proudly displayed.
Yeah, well done.
So where I came across B Corp for the first time, I was a managing director for a digital agency, and it was actually one of our clients who said to us, "You should look at this B Corp thing. It's going to become quite important. Clients are going to recognise it as a signal that businesses are doing things well across the 5 areas that it certifies." So we did look at it, but then that was just before COVID, and so we didn't look at it during that time. As you can imagine, lots of things that were going on, but then we did, and we went through the process, and we looked at the business that we were running, and we were gratified to learn that we were doing some really good things across the 5 areas, but it certainly made us take a step up as well, and it's that accountability, the framework that it takes you through, that improves your business and gives you a framework to improve upon. So we just go to the next slide. The topic today is, because we could talk about this for a very long time, I'm going to be quite focused on what it is, how much it costs, what effect has it had on businesses that I've worked with, what effect it could have, because there's a lot of stuff going on with B Lab at the moment in terms of the standards changing, etc. And where it's going really. So they've just had a big event, B Lab in Oxford. And I'll show you a clip from a video, but it's all lots of people who are interested in B Corp, B Corps who are B Corps already, and speakers from B Lab, and they're really pulling together, and the movement is growing, and it's getting quite exciting. And as I said, the standards are changing in 2025, so it's going to get slightly harder in each of the 5 areas to achieve the certification, because it's about continual improvement. So a little bit of context setting, first of all. We'll talk about some of the numbers of B Corp on the next slide. So in total, for B Corps in the UK, if you just go to the next slide, please, Rich. I'm going to show you where they're located. So globally, I won't ask you to raise hands and guess, but we would globally at the moment, we're looking at, if you go to that first one, 8,912. In the UK, we've got 2,944, and in the US, 3,174. And that little pie chart shows there where they're distributed in the UK, and the bulk of them are in London. Southwest and Southeast are quite highly represented as well. Northwest is very, very tiny at the moment. So the movement is growing. I don't know whether those numbers are a surprise in terms of being bigger or smaller than you might imagine. But that number of 2,944 in the UK, only a year ago, that was 1,500. So the movement it's really accelerating. So if you just go to the next slide on the awareness in the UK. So this is a little study that B Corp did about brand awareness. So I don't know how much you see the little B everywhere, but certainly when I speak to people, they when they think about it, if they don't know what it is, they might remember that they've seen it on the back of a Ben and Jerry's pot, or on the back of their almond milk perhaps, or something like that. But there was a B Corp month in March, and when I went into Waitrose, they had Mother's Day display, and then they had a big display of B Corp products, and they have a digital aisle. So if you go onto Waitrose and type in B Corp into their search bar, you can find all their B Corp products, and that sort of thing is leading to more awareness in the UK. But it's not just about those consumer products, it's about the businesses that are joining the movement. And you'll see, if you have any interest on LinkedIn, you'll start seeing all these businesses announcing that they've become a B Corp, and it's quite fast, actually. It's really fast. There's a lot being added every week. I'll talk a little bit about the process in a minute, but those businesses that are getting that certificate have been working on it for quite some time ordinarily. So it's not a quick process. But yeah, as I said, the brand awareness is certainly growing in the UK, and the more talks that I give now, because I do a few speaking slots, the more people are much more aware of it. And rather than an education piece about what it is, it's more about how do we become one, any objections they might have to it, and the questions that they've normally looked into a little bit more now before coming to a talk about B Corp. So on to the next slide, we've just got a little bit of information. So just as a context setting piece of information, which you probably already know, but this is what it is. It's a B corporations are businesses that meet the highest standards of verified social and environmental performance, public transparency and legal accountability to balance profit and purpose, which is quite a lot to say in one sentence, but it does, it's a quite hard-hitting sentence in that it covers all of those 5 areas that they certify. So the idea being that if businesses are able to achieve these standards of social and environmental performance, and they've set targets to improve them year on year, they publicly report on their KPIs in those areas, and they make a legal change to their articles of association to say that they're going to balance profit and purpose. So then they're not just here for profit for shareholders anymore. We're here for their stakeholders, for people, planet and profit, to balance those 3 consecutively. So just goes to the next one. Got a few numbers. I know we just wanted to talk about small businesses, because sometimes people will say, well, can I become a B Corp if I'm a sole trader, or if I'm a smaller business? So just contextually, then you can join, you can become a B Corp if you are a sole trader. You can also become a B Corp if you are less than 12 months in business. And actually, in that category of less than 12 months in business, you are able to go for the pending B Corp logo, which enables you to set up and have that first year of showing that you are committed to becoming a B Corp after the first year of trading. And certainly from sole trader to small business to large corporation, these are the numbers of the employee numbers, so to show the size of the business. So for 0 employees at sole trader, there's 207 currently. 1 to 9, 880, and these are in the UK. 10 to 49 employees, about 1,000, and then in the 1,000 plus employees, the numbers drop down, but there certainly are some in that category. The fees do change. So the fees are based on the turnover of the company. And you can see that on the next slide. So this is just showing the small business end of the fees. So if your turnover is less than 150k per year, you pay a one-off submission fee. So when you eventually get to the magic number of 80 points that you have to get to submit, you pay a one-off fee. And then after a little while, you wait for a B Corp analyst to be assigned to you, and they start verifying everything that you've said that you do. And that process costs £360. And then you pay an annual fee to B Corp based on your turnover, which is £1,000 a year. You recertify after 3 years, but that annual fee remains the same throughout that 3-year period and ongoing. And then in the 150 to 500k mark, the submission fee is the same. The verification fee goes up because there's more verifying to be done. It's more complicated the larger the company. And then the annual fee also goes up. So that's the difference in price. So they do go up significantly. So those companies in the 1,000 plus employees will be paying a significant amount of money in terms of their annual fees. But they do certainly benefit in terms of what they are able to do in terms of marketing that certification, and it's attracting candidates, it's attracting customers, clients, and it's a reason for being that they want to have that trust signal and show what they're doing for social and environmental performance. Okay, so how do you become one? You might have been through this before, so apologies, but I will just do it step by step so everyone's got it in their mind. So the first thing that I would tell people to do usually is to firstly look at the legal change in your articles of association. The reason that I would say do that initially is because of the 80 points you need to submit, that is actually worth 10 points. So priority order wise, that's the reason. But it's also a really important step because it just feels very weighty to make a legal change to your articles of association. It sits on Companies House. It's a real mark in the sand that you're going to do something differently and operate differently, and all the shareholders must agree to that legal change. So that's step one. You then complete the BIA assessment, which anyone can access. It's a free tool. So you would fill in all your company details. The BIA assessment is huge. There's about 200 questions, depending on which sector you are answering questions on, because it opens up slightly different questions. And each of the questions has a drop down, and you have to be able to be sure that you can evidence everything that you're saying you're doing in the BIA assessment. Usually what happens is when a company first does the BIA assessment, they haven't quite got the 80 points. So I'm kind of getting involved usually with businesses that have had a go, and they might be sitting at the sort of 50 marks, and they don't really know quite how they might get there. So there is sometimes a little bit of a few steps to take. There's some gaps that they haven't quite got in place before they can get to the 80 points. So part of the work that we do with Truth is to help them through those steps. So it might be to do with how they are recording information about their supply chain. It might be to do with their people benefits or training or policies. It might be to do with how they're collecting data about their diversity and inclusion data for their staff. So there's quite a few things that might not be in place, and we can put them in place and help them put them in place. There's also a declaration to sign. So this section is about the industries that you work with, so your customers. So you have to answer questions to declare anything that is seen as contentious. So it might be about the customers that you serve. So do you service fossil fuel production companies or anything like that? So anything that you might imagine B Corp would not be so keen on, you have to declare it. And then when you eventually get to the 80 points, we tend to submit for our clients around the 90 points, because through the verification stage, it tends to come down a little bit. You pay the one-off submission fee, and then there's a little gap usually where B Lab assign an analyst for you. So that it goes a little bit quiet and clients go, well, what's going on? But anyway, they eventually get the analyst assigned, and then they start evidencing the questions in the BIA. So that's a lot of uploading documents, answering questions. Sometimes it's a complicated company structure. So we need to look into the subsidiaries and how that all works legally. So there's a lot of evidencing and answering questions in that stage. And then eventually you get that wooden plaque that Rich proudly showed at the beginning. And that is a really proud moment. And you are onboarded into the Beehive community. So the Beehive community is an online portal where you can chat and work with other B Corps. And it is a community. I'll talk a little bit more about community in a minute, but you might, for example, want to change your suppliers, and you can find other B Corps there that you can work with. And you'll probably want to market that certification at that point as well. You want to talk about it and show off the fact that you do great things across those 5 areas. As I mentioned, you recertify after 3 years. So that first year, you've got the plaque, you've done well, but you've got to do better. So in that 3-year period, you set yourself some goals, and you want to improve on those year on year. And you also do an impact report after every 12 months. That's something that you write into the Articles of Association also, and you pay your annual fee. So that's it in a nutshell of how you become one. So that's the detail, but what could it be? And I think this is the exciting bit. So it started quite a long time ago, 17 years now, but the movement is really fast growing. And as we can see with those numbers of B Corps being added, it's becoming popular. It's becoming harder next year to get the certificate. People want it, they know about it. It's adding to their, as I say, candidate attraction. Clients want to work with them. So there's a tangible benefit to becoming a B Corp, but it's also about you know, doing the right thing. You are doing everything that you say you're going to do. You're going to work with the clients you want to work with. Your people want to work for you because you're doing all the right things. You're doing everything that makes a difference to the planet. And we can't all the B Corp. I get excited about this bit, but the B Corp movement is for the for-profit sector, and that's because the for-profit sector are not doing enough to make a difference. They are making money for their shareholders, but this B Corp, they have to achieve across those 5 areas, and so therefore this forceful movement for the for-profit sector is huge. Someone asking a question. Personal business. Okay. Okay, next slide, please. So I actually was on came across this on Instagram this morning, but it relevant to the economic system. So B Corporation put this on Instagram. So B Lab is not here to create a certification standard for the sake of certification. We're here to change the economic system, which is, you know, it's a really powerful statement, but it's true. Those standards are changing next year, and it's playing a leading role in positively impacting and transforming the global economy into a more inclusive, equitable, and regenerative system. There's a lot of work going on to change policy and legislation and business for good. And all the B Corp locals are all getting together and campaigning with MPs and working together to raise awareness. So it's going to make a big difference, in my opinion. Next one. Yeah, so these are some of the companies that are using business as a force for good. So some of those recognizable brands, but the more that businesses can get together as well. So those B Corps working together, those B local communities. So once you get more than 20 B Corps in one area, you can form a B local. And those B locals are quite powerful because you've got B Corps talking about all the great things they're doing that influences each other. And that feeds into B Lab as well. So lots of businesses using it as a force for good. This is just one of our posts, but when they talk about the B Corp movement and business being a force for good, this demonstrates it. So these are just tiny little snapshots of some of the things that they do, but 20% of them have changed banks. So when I ask my clients if they will change banks, it's quite a big ask, to be honest. So it's not an easy one for me to convince them to do, but 20% of them have changed banks so that their funds are invested ethically. All of them have measured their scope 1 to 2 greenhouse gases, and 75% have measured scope 1 to 3. 100% of them have improved their recruitment processes to avoid unconscious bias, and they might not have even thought about that before they started looking into what they might do to change that. And they've all conducted a pay equity analysis, and not just gender either. This is across all socioeconomic data, and making sure the pay equity is fair across the business. So some of them were doing some of those things already, or they then did it better. So that going through that B Corp process makes you look at these things plus 197 other things. It's just huge, all the things that they would look at and change and make better. And perhaps they might not do them for the first submission, but they might certainly do it in the next 12 months in their impact report of goals of what they're going to do to make it better. Next one. Oh yeah, so this is about the community that B Corp creates, really. So there is a video, and it is a little bit glitchy and the sound doesn't work, but I want to just show you a little glimpse of it. So if you don't mind playing this for me, Rich.
Oh, hang on.
If you click on the little speech bubble.
Yeah, just went weird with it now.
So this is the event that they held in Oxford just a week prior. And it's like a fringe event, so they had lots and lots of workshops, everyone getting together. I will share this afterwards, but this video is quite powerful. The music's really powerful, and all these amazing speakers came in, and that community again was just a really powerful force. It's the only bit of sound we get, so we'll leave that one there. But that's just to demonstrate the community effect that it has. Okay, so the next bit I just want to talk about is the 5 areas of B Corp. So there's governance, there's workers, there's customers, there's environment and community. And in each of those sections, there's multiple questions that are asked. So in the workers section, it's all about, I'll talk before about some example questions, but it's really about how you treat your workers, training, benefits, etc. The environment section is huge as well. So those are the 2 biggest sections. Governance is, it includes your change to articles of association, but it's also about how transparent you are, if you've got good auditing set up, how ethically you operate. Customers is a relatively small section, but it's about, do you survey your customers? Are they happy? Do you look after their data? And community is community and charity giving, but also diversity, equity and inclusion. So how you deal with that as a business. And then on the next slide, I just wanted to talk specifically about some of the questions that are asked about workers. So some of the key questions are about benefits. Pension, it asks about whether those funds are invested in a socially responsible fund. There's other benefits such as parental leave, making sure that's fair, health and well-being, how a company treats that, and does it encourage health and well-being for their team. Training and development, are people fairly paid? Do they recruit fairly? And then across the integrity, ethics, values and purpose. So it looks at your mission statement. Do you have a code of ethics? The sort of clients you work with, that kind of thing. And then just on the next one, I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things, actually, it's the sustainability. I just wanted to, on this one, this is fine. So yeah, I guess the other thing that Rich asked me to talk about was what it means for sustainability consultants and coaches. So if you just go down to the next one, there's the section on environment. So in the BIA assessment, it asks a lot of questions about your water usage, your food waste, your electricity, whether renewable energy is from low impact sources, carbon analysis, impact reporting and goal setting. So the smaller the business, the easier it is to obtain that information and set goals. But there are some businesses that I'm working with that are huge, and all of this stuff is not easily sort outable. It's in multiple locations. There's a head office here. They might have acquired 100 odd other locations, and in that case, that environment section becomes huge and not easy to answer straight away. So it does often happen that there's a sustainability coach or consultant used for that as well. And I do partner myself with a carbon neutral certification partner. There are businesses I work with that have already got sustainability consultants. So there's a definite link there to B Corp and sustainability coaches and consultants. And then in terms of clients and how it's changed, so Clicky is where I was managing director, and so we won Coat Paints. So Coat Paints are also a B Corp, and we also won Charity Bank as a client. Those, and this is what's happening. So once we became a B Corp, it was like a public announcement to the world that we had good values and integrity across those 5 areas that we've just talked about, and that changed things for us, because we if we had contact with people, they knew that anyway, because they'd get to know our people and the way we operated. But externally, that B Corp certification then allowed other people to know that we were doing those things well. So that changed. Genfit are a solar panel installation company. They're going through rapid growth, and they need to attract the best candidates. So for them, becoming a B Corp made a big difference, because they had a team member who wanted to work for a B Corp. She had done previously, and then she recommended somebody, and they saw a real difference in attracting best candidates from becoming a B Corp. And then Ear to the Ground are an agency in Manchester. They have a lot of European clients, so they have an EcoVadis certificate, and they have to have these standards in place for their European clients. They demand the demand is actually higher than what they found for the clients in the UK. But they wanted the standards of operation for their own supply chain procurement. But also with B Corp, it's not just about because it's EcoVadis plus that, if you like. It's I think I saw a quote saying ISO 9000 meets fair trade, so it's across all those 5 areas, so it's quite unique. Okay, and then I think we're going to get to the question bit, if that's okay.